A woman in Albuquerque was ordered by a court to get therapy from a religious nutcase, and when the woman refused, the court took her children away. First of all, I want to throw out a big congratulations to New Mexico. Normally, we hear this sort of thing from other states, your Texases, your Floridas. New Mexico's been fairly quiet when it comes to states doing really embarrassing backwards things. The good news is that the woman did get her kids back, but only after gritting her teeth and going back to the religious nutcase therapist. And the good news for all of us is that she did it in a badass way. And she took a recorder into the sessions. So she got this therapist on tape saying things like, if you want to explore how God was in your past, how God was in your life and not in your life, I know you don't believe in God, which is fine, but I know at some points he was in your life in some way. Now, if a Christian were forced by a U.S. court of law to attend a therapy session, and at some point the therapist said, I know you don't believe in Ganesh, but at some points he was in your life and at that point, the entire state of New Mexico would be set on fire. And if the therapist in question was a Muslim, Bill O'Reilly would have ejaculated live on TV. It's sad how easy it is to point out these violations of separation of church and state by using the Muslim test, just replacing whatever Christian is doing the violation with a Muslim in order to show Christians how messed up it is. I hate to play on Christians' fears of Muslims, but unfortunately, it really is the only way to convince some Christians that you don't want the government meddling in your religious affairs. This Albuquerque case reminds me of the huge problem we have in the U.S. with Alcoholics Anonymous, or AA. I have a lot of friends who are addicts and alcoholics, and some of them have been helped quite a bit by AA. But the fact of the matter is that it's a spiritual organization that requires a belief in a higher power. Now, some people in AA, atheists included, argue this away as saying that really anything can be the higher power. It doesn't have to be the Christian God. But that's the same manner of bullshit that leads to the apologetics of allowing public prayer, because atheists can just have a moment of silence during that prayer. It's that whole separate but equal thing. It's bullshit. AA is a spiritual organization, period. And the problem with that is that the U.S. government, the U.S. court system, occasionally assigns people to go to AA. AA is unfortunately often the only option available to alcoholics who want to go into recovery. And so the court system is forcing sometimes atheists and sometimes other people who don't buy into this stuff to go to a fundamentally religious organization for therapy. People shouldn't have to dig into the background and spiritual beliefs of their therapists, especially when they're being forced to see those therapists by a court of law. That should go without saying, but unfortunately, it appears that here in the US, we need better quality control over how we certify these sort of counselors. And rule number one in that certification should be, your religion has nothing to do with my recovery.